Hey, let me give you an update on the Alligator Alcatraz or Alligator Auschwitz migrant detention center outside the Everglades in Miami-Dade, Florida. Today, the plaintiffs in the lawsuit, the Center for Biodiversity and the Friends of the Everglades, on behalf of also the Mukasiki tribe, filed a request for the magistrate judge assigned to this case to expedite and actually give them a decision, because they initially filed their lawsuit challenging the the structure, the institution, the migrant detention center on environmental protection laws that were, and processes and procedures. There's a thing called the National Environmental Policy Act that requires the federal government to do a full impact statement before doing anything that's knows is going to impact the environment. And given this place is 6 miles south or north of the Everglades, it definitely does trigger it. Now, the Trump administration since filed a response saying it's not, they have nothing to do with them. They say it's not a final act, and they also said that there's no harm. So in this is the intro to a video that I did before today's filing from the plaintiffs, giving you the updates. This is like a update to the update. So after this intro here, you're going to see the video that I already produced on the back end of this. But I just want to let you know that they essentially asked the judge to act on it because it's been like going on 2 weeks. And while they wait, precious impact to the panther population down there, the ecology, the fragile ecosystems, the bats, all the various different environment that we try to protect are being impacted right now while they wait. Not even withstanding the effect of the fact that the facility is trash. You've probably seen the reports. They say it's rat infested. There are maggots in the food. They're made to eat and drink in the same space. There's like 3 toilets to all these people, and it's a human rights violation, walking, talking human rights violation on behalf of the very, very cruel Republican regime, Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump. There's another side of this, the Nuremberg type trials. All these folks are going to have to answer to their cruelty, their inhumaneness. And it's so sad that all of them claim to be Christian, because there's nothing Christian about anything that they're doing, that the teachings of their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ would not approve of anything. When they go to St. Peter, they're not going to look good. If they believe St. Peter's at the pearly gates for them, it's not going to look good for any of them. But anyway, I digress. So in this intro, they say you need to act as soon as possible because the population is being impacted. Now, they have an out. They asked the judge or magistrate to say you have until the end of the week. Please, by the end of the week, start, because time is passing. The facility is horrible, and I'm going to give my guess really quick to why I think it's taken so slow and no one's acting on it. And it has to do with the fact that the Trump administration, MAGA, Stephen Miller, Russell votes have done an excellent job scaring the shit out of the judges. The attack on the judges, sending pizza to their houses, just very few judges. I mean, I feel like as I look at the dockets, it was initially signed to one judge and then went to another judge, Edwin Torres, and then another judge. And they're just all getting out of it because Florida's Republican. And there's a lot of money interest in this. There are a lot of government contracts that went out in this. People bought the vendors. So a lot of people invested in this. And if they do the right thing, it's clearly a federal entity. It's federal standards, even state standards were not met on this. And they rushed it. They ignored all the laws. And the environmental folks were the right bodies to take this to court. And the judges would do the right thing. They would end this. They would say, clear everybody out, move everyone out, start over again, do the NEPA, and then come back. By then, they're going to move on, because Kristi Noem had already said she's already entered, or she's considering, or started negotiations amongst various different red state people to do something similar. It's a model for other places. But go do it when there's no. So someone did say, like, even if they shut this down, there's going to be another one, which is sad, but that's true. But each time they do it, we're going to be there. The protest is going to be there. We're going to be marking. We're going to have the helicopters. We're going to watch it. It's a human rights abuse, and there are going to be answers on the other side of this. But I digress. So I really do feel like they just scared all the judges, and it's been passed down from judge to magistrate, judge to magistrate. Everyone's finding a way and a reason to recuse themselves. Either they're all entrenched, which is sad, the judiciary, but there has to be a brave judge in Florida that's going to say, when it's assigned them, that's going to say, I'm going to take one from the team, get myself a security guard, and go ahead at it and do what I need to do. Because the judges that I looked at, the records from the judges who were previously assigned this, they all seem to be fair. They follow procedure, they follow processes. They're well known. They have long history as magistrate judges, and they do the right thing. But that's before the era of the Trump era, before the psycho MAGA violent era, where we have had a political assassination within the last month. People are barely talking about it. So it's that scary a time in the United States where the fascist neo-Nazis that are running things, and I'm going to say that in the way of, have actually did their job of frightening people. However, I say that, but I do say that there's so many judges that are not scared, and that even if that's Florida and they're doing this, the country is a large country. They're still the minority. We're still the majority. I'm hoping with the FAFO leaving MAGA folks, diluting the Trump base, that the midterms it flips and we gain the power, and then we gain chairmanship, and it starts a snowball effect when we usher out this era. And all of those who are afraid to stand up or fearful, which I understand, we'll deal with them then. And those who participate actively or did it for a buck and treating their fellow humans this way, there is going to be accountability on them. And I'm looking forward, and I pray to God, everyone's around to see that. And there will be elections again, so please don't put in my comment, will there be elections? Is there going to be martial law? There's not going to be martial law, and there are going to be elections. Stop saying that. Watch my next video. On one of my next videos, I have a collab where we talk about that. Anyway, enough of that. So that's where we are. So I think that they said that if you do not, there is a case that says if they do not act, it's the equivalent of them denying it. There's precedent. And if you do deny it, if you don't act by this time, we're going to go ahead and appeal to the Court of Appeals, which, because there's more of them, it may be a panel, they may be brave enough to either order the magistrate judge to act, or they may just do it on their own, or something's going to happen. So they're like, we can't, y'all can't. I don't know. That's the right jurisdiction. I don't know if they take it out of Miami-Dade, Florida, but that's where it is. It is where it is. So act already, like poop or get off the toilet or something. So yeah, anyway, so watch the intro to this video that I filmed before this intro to the update. All right, JJ Legal, each one teach one. So we have proof that the entire Alligator Alcatraz endeavor is going to be a complete waste of time. Now, if you've been following this lawsuit, the Trump administration, Kristi Noem, who is the Department of Homeland Security, said that she called up Governor DeSantis of Florida and the Attorney General of Florida and asked to partner up to find a space for her to house some of the migrants and immigrants that they had been rounding up and detaining for deportation. Only thing is the place that they picked, they're calling Alligator Alcatraz because it's in the Everglades. Yes, that's Everglades, the sacred space of the Miccosukee tribe that are housed and have burial lands close to that spot. Is less than 6 miles from their property and also the Everglades. And there is this law called the National Environmental Policy Act that requires the federal government to do a complete environmental impact statement and assessment before housing on any property that may have impact on the environment. So the Friends of the Everglades, paired up with the Center for Biodiversity, which I explained in my last video, has a 90% win rate. During Trump's first term, they filed about 266 lawsuits and won almost all of them. Like 9 out of 10 they won. So they have an excellent winning record. I said in the last video, the Trump administration had responded to the lawsuit by saying, one, that it's a state that no federal money was put forth for the project. Two, they say, and the National the Environmental Policy Act isn't triggered unless there's a final action. And they said there has been no final action. And finally, they allege that there's no injury, to which I now know, and I can tell you what they clapped back with. And they were like, seriously, these are your arguments? They're like, okay, you say that there's no state law, no state funding. However, we do have record of Kristi Noem saying that she is a partnership. She also said that the funding for this project is going to come from Department of Homeland Security FEMA grants. Donald Trump joked how it's coming from leftover FEMA grants. And we know that the property is going to be housing immigrants caught under the Federal Immigration Nationality Act, and there's no state actors going to be there. And they're all signs that this is just, come on now, it's a federal endeavor. And then as to the non-final act, how final can it get to the extent that you have people already there? They're already housed. We saw video images of migrants being brought there. The ACLU did an update recently. They've gotten some accounts from the migrants that are actually housed there and say that it's poor conditions. The facilities are really, really poor. They're malnutrition. They're being fed food with maggots in it. So it's final. It's as final as it's going to get. And then finally, as to the harm, the plaintiffs filed a couple of declarations. One of them was someone who said that they actually live in the area and they saw there was pitch black. That area is a blackout zone because there are bats that are indigenous to that area that requires it's super, super low light. And they say since this project has been coming in and being built, there's bright lights. So right there, you're impacting the bat population. Another declarant had a series of photos that showed the images of what it looked like before, because they were prepared, and before and then after. They have these pits. Those pits mean there's water filling in them. When the water fills in them because of this construction, now you've disrupted the ecology, the water life, the plantation, the vegetation. A lot of them are sensitive plants that are indigenous to the area. Some of them are rare. So you're impacting the ecology and environment. This declarant also had pictures that showed before where there were not a lot of vehicles there because the Trump administration had argued that the space had already been used by it was like a training ground, a small airstrip. It was a small airstrip. It was a training air facility. And they said, well, it already exists. There's already stuff going on there. So this declarant showed that, yeah, but there weren't a bunch of cars. All these cars mean there's potential harm to the wildlife that's running around there to get hit and run over. Also, these cars means exhaust. It means fluids from their vehicles steeping into the ground. So the harm, the impact, come on now. Seriously, that cannot be your response. Also, on top of that, we have a new lawsuit filed by someone who says they have a patent. They have some stake in claim and an agreement with the states and with the federal government in terms of that area that they own. Essentially, they're a native to that land. And they say, you are encroaching on land that I own and you're occupying this space without my permission. Not quite sure how valid that argument is, but that's just one more lawsuit against it. And this person who filed this lawsuit also mentioned the impact on the tribal lands and the environment and the ecology and the infrastructure and just disrupting the biodiversity and the nomenclature of the entire space and area. Also, Democratic lawmakers sued Governor DeSantis for failing to allow them access. Eventually, they were allowed access, but they were shown a sanitized version. Nonetheless, they're still continuing their lawsuit, saying they're denied oversight into the facility that seemingly breaks lots of state laws, permitting laws, environmental protection laws, tribal laws. And so their lawsuit continues. And it would be stopped on state grounds, hopefully, ideally. Yeah, so anyway. That's that. We'll see. Stay tuned. I'll keep you updated. If you are new here, like I say, I'm JJ Legal. I help you understand the lawsuits filed against the Trump administration. I'll keep you updated to extent that the judge finally issues an order. And I said it's going to be a colossal waste of time because we know some Etsy people made some merch and there's been a huge cash cow of making it a destination and they're all gathering around it. And that's what you get for betting on Donald Trump, because he just acts first and they don't plan. They don't do anything. They do things without foresight. They're impulsive. They just come up with crazy ideas and they do the crazy ideas. They don't bother to do the proper processes and procedures and steps to make it implement. I've said this before. They are inept and unqualified to lead or govern a church annual picnic. Nonetheless, the government, they don't even plan anything, and then it's all going to be a colossal waste of time, a colossal waste of resources. And and they're not even defending it because they're saying it's not us, we didn't do it. So you people who live in Florida, you have to answer to your government while they're wasting resources and wasting your state funds and time and attention on something that by now we already know the Everglades are a sacred space. Why? Anyway, each one teach one. Share this video and check out if you're watching this on YouTube, I have playlists here. This is going to hyperlink to. You can check out to see more videos. If you're watching this on TikTok, I have playlists related to challenges against the Trump administration, or you can check out the highlights if you're seeing this on Instagram. So any one of those places to keep learning from me, check out jjlegal.com, where I have Know Your Rights cards. I also sell a case tracker so you can keep up with all these cases. I'm going to update it soon. And then finally, I have a document to give you templates if you're in a mixed status family and you can't afford a lawyer, but you need documents to make sure your house is in order, your family is in order, and everything's taken care of. Also, ways you can join my various private communities where I am going to be doing office hours. We just sit back, kick back, powwow, and discuss things openly and answer questions. So think about joining. Each one teach one. JJ Legal. Take care.